ISIS is in trouble. Kurdish forces have advanced very close to the Syrian city of Raqqa, the Islamic State's capital, facing perhaps its most serious threat since it declared itself a caliphate almost a year ago. And this raises a couple of questions. Will ISIS lose Raqqa, and what will happen if it does? Well, the push to Raqqa began back on June 15. The People's Protection Units, Syrian Kurdish Militia, better known as the YPG, pushed ISIS out of Tal Abyad, a very important Syrian town on the border with Turkey. And this city is very important because that's where all the major trade and smuggling routes kind of converge. And the Islamic State has relied on it for its supplies, not only of weapons, but also the flow of foreign fighters into Raqqa that is so far considered the symbolic capital of the state.
Well, they were able to do that pretty successfully, Jose, and not only that, they were able to interrupt the supply line that's going to ISIS. So hopefully when they push, we see ISIS on the defensive now, and I really like that because it means that they're weaker than they wanted all of us to believe, that they don't have the ability or the fortitude to do, despite the early victories, to sustain their victories and to keep their cities. That's what this says. It's a very good sign. And Kurdish fighters, incidentally, ISIS went into Kobani last week and murdered up to 200 people. That number is still inconclusive, the exact number, but really tried to destroy that city, and the Kurds were able to take it back. This is yet another example of them pushing ISIS back. Let's hope they continue.
The reality is that some of the analysts have called ISIS a paper tiger with a lot of capabilities to go and try to conquer and do terrorism in new territories, but at the same time unable to retain the territories that they already captured. And what makes the real threat to ISIS, these Kurds are very methodic. They are not the type of militia that will go and sit down, they will have a victory and just relax. They have a method, they keep advancing. Right now they're at 35 miles away from Raqqa. They're being supported by US-led coalition airstrikes. But the reality is that the numbers are a little confusing because it seems like ISIS is outnumbered. Reports from the CIA, more or less, they say that there's 20,000 to 31,000 ISIS soldiers. The private sector analysts, they say that they could be up to 100,000. But the reality is that just in Iraq, the Iraqi government has 48,000 soldiers. On top of that, 120,000 Shia militia members that are fighting against ISIS. 190,000 Kurdish militia to the north of Iraq. So if we make the numbers, there's no reason why ISIS should be winning. The problem is that these ISIS fighters are really, really clever. They are very well organized, but at the same time, this is what's happening. At the same time that they're getting real threatened by the Kurdish close to their capital, they are sending these satellite attacks all around the world to create this illusion that they're everywhere. But the reality is that they are being challenged in their capabilities to retain the territories that they win and to actually find governance. And Raqqa is very important because it's very symbolic of where the central government of ISIS is. So if we, just the fact that the Kurdish might go after Raqqa
and actually get it,
it will be
is a big deal.
It will be a big deal. Not only that, because after Tikrit, this will really take away any sort of stability that ISIS is enjoying on the region.
And I agree with you.
Yeah, and the reason why they've been able to go for so long without no problems in Syria is because the regime there is so concerned with fighting all other organizations that they have been able to kind of fly under the radar. But the reality is that ISIS is not as strong as they are trying to project, and this is the proof of it. Let us know how you feel, and please subscribe to the Live TV 2.